The following treatise, by Sextus Empiricus, is properly titled, The Strongest Argument Against God are the Argument Against All Gods. Outlines of Pyrrhonism, Book 3, Chapter 3, Concerning God. Since then, the majority have declared that God is the most efficient cause. Let us begin by inquiring about God. First premising that although, following the ordinary view, we affirm undogmatically that gods exist and reverence gods and ascribe to them foreknowledge, yet as against the rashness of the dogmatists, we argue as follows. When we conceive objects, we ought to form conceptions of their substances, as well as, for instance, whether they are corporeal or incorporeal, and also of their forms. For no one could conceive horse unless he had first learnt the horse's form. And of course the object conceived must be conceived as existing somewhere. Since then, some of the dogmatists assert that God is corporeal, others that he is incorporeal, in some that he has human form, others not, in some that he exists in space, others not. And of those who assert that he is in space, some put him inside the world, others outside. How shall we be able to reach conception of God when we have no agreement about his substance, or his form, or his place of abode? Let them first agree and consent together that God is of such and such a nature, and then, when they have sketched out for us that nature, let them require that we should form a conception of God. But so long as they disagree interminably, we cannot say what agreed notion we are to derive from them. But, say they, when you have conceived of a being imperishable and blessed, regard this as God. But this is foolish. For just as one who does not know Dion is unable also to conceive the properties which belong to him as Dion, so also when we do not know the substance of God, we shall also be unable to learn and conceive his properties. And apart from this, let them tell us what a blessed thing is. Whether it is that which energizes according to virtue and foreknows what is subject to itself, or that which is void of energy, and neither performs any work itself, nor provides work for another. For indeed, about this also they disagree interminably, and thus render the blessed something we cannot conceive, and therefore God also. Further, in order to form a conception of God, one must necessarily, so far as depends on the dogmatists, suspend judgment as to his existence or non-existence. For the existence of God is not pre-evident. For if God impressed us automatically, the dogmatists would have agreed together regarding his essence, his character, and his place, whereas their interminable disagreement has made him seem to us non-evident and needing demonstration. Now he that demonstrates the existence of God does so by means of what is either pre-evident or non-evident. Certainly not, then, by means of the pre-evident. For if what demonstrates God's existence were pre-evident, then since the thing proved is conceived together with that which proves it, and therefore is apprehended along with it as well, as we have established, God's existence also will be pre-evident, it being apprehended along with the pre-evident fact which proves it. But as we have shown, it is not pre-evident, therefore it is not proved, either by a pre-evident fact, nor yet by what is non-evident. For if the non-evident fact, which is capable of proving God's existence, needing proof as it does, shall be said to be proved by means of a pre-evident fact, it will no longer be non-evident, but pre-evident. Therefore, the non-evident fact, which proves his existence, is not proved by what is pre-evident, nor yet by what is non-evident. For he who asserts this will be driven into circular reasoning when we keep demanding proof every time for the non-evident fact which he produces as proof of the one last propounded. Consequently, the existence of God cannot be proved from any other fact. But if God's existence is neither automatically pre-evident nor proved from another fact, it will be inapprehensible. There is this also to be said. He who affirms that God exists either declares that he has, or that he has not, forethought for the things in the universe. And in the former case, that such forethought is for all things or for some things. But if he had forethought for all, there would have been nothing bad, and no badness in the world. Yet all things, they say, are full of badness. Hence it shall not be said that God forethinks all things. If again he forethinks some, why does he forethink these things and not those? For either he has both the will and the power to forethink all things, or else he has the will but not the power, or the power but not the will, or neither the will nor the power. But if he had had both the will and the power, he would have had forethought for all things. But for the reasons stated above, he does not forethink all. Therefore, he has not both the will and the power to forethink all. And if he has the will but not the power, he is less strong than the cause which renders him unable to forethink what he does not forethink. But it is contrary to our notion of God that he should be weaker than anything. And if again he has the power, but not the will to have forethought for all, he will be held to be malignant. While if he has neither the will nor the power, he is both malignant and weak, an impious thing to say about God. Therefore, God has no forethought for the things in the universe. But if he exercises no forethought for anything, and there exists no work nor product of his, no one will be able to name the source of the apprehension of God's existence, inasmuch as he neither appears of himself, nor is apprehended by means of any of his products. So for these reasons we cannot apprehend whether God exists. And from this we further conclude that those who positively affirm God's existence are probably compelled to be guilty of impiety. For if they say that he forethinks all things, they will be declaring that God is the cause of what is evil. While if they say that he forethinks some things or nothing, they will be forced to say that God is either malignant or weak. And obviously, this is to use impious language.